You're tuned into the Jersey Comic. In today's video, you're going to watch us discuss some big changes at DC Comics. DC Comics has canceled a bunch of books. There's major layoffs. Stay tuned to find out what all that is going to mean for the future of DC. We're moving on to our second and final topic of this week's episode. DC Comics is going through some major changes right now.
Yeah, man.
So we know that they had some layoffs because of the AT&T merger. AT&T is going through some restructuring. They lost a lot of their editorial staff. And then recently we just found out that a bunch of comics are getting canceled, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a lot COVID related. It's also, which, I think certain companies are in a unique position where they can just say everything's COVID related right now. And I think a lot of it is.
Interesting.
But I think a lot of it is also AT&T.
Okay.
And I've said this in the past where, Marvel had the fortunate, they landed under Disney. Lucasfilm landed under Disney. Regardless of how you may feel about Disney with certain properties, they still landed under another entertainment property and another entertainment business that knows that type of business.
Who makes a lot of money.
Yes. And, they already have, even without them, Pixar, Disney, all that stuff is already, Disney Channel, Disney movies. Yeah. And AT&T is obviously a telecommunications company. We've had rumors dating back months. If you go back in our logs and look at us talking about AT&T buying DC or talking about AT&T, maybe ending the DC Comics line in general or selling off properties. There's been a lot of talk and stuff going on. Dan DiDio is a part of that, and him being removed from DC. Unfortunately, there's a lot more bad than good. There is some bright spots in DC right now, but they canceled.
Yeah, I was going to ask
6 or 7 comics.
Do you remember all the titles that they canceled?
Yes. So right now, the ones that we just found out for November, Teen Titans is getting canceled. Which,
by the way, I've been reading. It's good.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not a big Teen Titans reader. I like more the Marv Wolfman, George Perez new Teen Titans stuff. But yeah, Teen Titans is a book I get. I don't know the numbers on Teen Titans. But Teen Titans, Hawkman, which to me always gets canceled eventually.
Hawkman, I feel like every time it gets revived, it should be revived as a miniseries because the reason it gets revived, and a lot of these smaller character books, is because somebody has a great 1 or 2 story arc, and it should be like, okay, we're going to just do this, and then maybe again later. Because I feel like Hawkman does well, and then just gets canceled because nobody's buying it.
Yeah, exactly. So Teen Titans, Hawkman, Young Justice, which was surprising.
Wasn't that surprising to me? Because I think Teen Titans is a much better book.
I was surprised. I actually get Young Justice. I was surprised because, one, it's Bendis, and it seems like DC is just letting Bendis do whatever the hell he wants.
I think that's
but it's not a phenomenal book.
No.
It's very much Bendis marketing himself and throwing every character he's ever made.
That's the issue with it. They're throwing too many people in it too quick. The last event, I kind of stopped reading it because they were like, oh, we have the Wonder Twins and other people and these people and these people, and I was like, whoa, you're doing a kind of crossover event with all the legacy characters, and you kind of didn't even build up to the event, and this event doesn't even warrant all their participation.
Yeah. And Naomi's in it, and even she's in the book I've had powers for 2 days, and we're just so then why are you here?
You should calm down. It kind of
it's in your face.
Yeah, he was running. He was running before he walked.
If
you want to introduce them all into the Young Justice and them into the war, cool. I want them to meet Naomi down the line. Then I want them to meet them, or maybe there's a crossover with a couple of them. But he's like, nope, everybody at once, and that kind of overwhelmed the book, and it made the book suffer because there was too much block text of everybody reading and trying to have some time in the limelight. So that's my approach. All right.
No, yeah, I agree with you 100%. And then Suicide Squad's getting canceled, which is really surprising to me, considering there's a new video game coming out. that Rocksteady's doing,
A movie.
and the movie, and it's kind of, Harley's in it, so she's the fourth pillar of DC, and I if the book is bad, the book is bad. I don't read it, but
I
that's
have to admit I don't read it.
surprising to me. And then the final book is Hellblazer.
That bothers me. Isn't that a DC Black Label?
It's a DC Black Label, and to me, it's obviously bothersome, but it's not as surprising based on how DC ended Vertigo, last year, and which is also one of the problems. And again, like, I know a lot of this is COVID related, and obviously they let go a third of their staff, mostly editors.
That's true. So like they don't even have the people to keep on some of these books too. So like you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? If you don't have the staff to review the books, and these books aren't selling that well, it's like, why invest more money and time into it? You just gotta cut it. And like these books, even though some of them are good and like they're surprising to us, it's understandable because they're not the big name books.
Like it's some of it's trimming the fat, right? Like
it feels like it. It's maybe it's sometimes the fat is what we like. We're like, this tastes delicious. But sometimes
if it's on a steak, hell yeah.
Yeah, you're
but
like, good.
But I think it's AT&T, when they bought DC and Warner Brothers, they consolidated all of that debt. They absorbed all of that debt, and they're in a lot of debt.
Mm-hmm.
COVID obviously isn't helping that, and their comics distribution at the moment doesn't seem to be helping it, even though they keep saying it is. And it seems like they keep going down this rabbit hole and keep digging this rabbit hole, of just, trying to consolidate debt and not putting stuff out. We saw it with, a couple months ago when they said they were trying to get rid of, Rocksteady and some of the video game components,
I remember
maybe
that.
selling that to EA or Microsoft,
silly idea,
Insomniac, and now it's like, no, they're not selling it, and here's this huge Suicide Squad game that they're going to show at DC Fandom next week, and so that's kind of conflicting.
Hope is good. It better be good.
Hope it's good. It seems like it's going to be called like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League or something. So it seems like you're going after Justice League members.
Which sounds like a great idea. Like, how cool is that? Like, oh, I get to go kill Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
It seems like impossible, though, because it seems like, hey, I'm Deadshot, and I'm supposed to kill Superman.
Well,
like,
let's hear me out. We've
or
also
Aquaman,
seen, I forget the name of the animated movie, but Batman take on the whole Justice League and win, right? Like, we've seen crazy ideas, so it's not too far-fetched.
No, true. But, so hopefully that game is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But we have, that's going on. Obviously, the comic book situation, right? They're not making a ton of money on comic books.
No.
If anyone's seen our interview with Mike from Manifest Comics, he'll tell you, DC likes to proclaim that, the entire comics industry is in debt, and it's not really true. Marvel still sells their comics pretty mainstreamly.
Image
Obviously, the MCU
well.
helps. The MCU helps. Image is doing great. And Boom Studios now is rising up because of Power Rangers. IDW is standard. So it seems like DC is the only one that's kind of continuously struggling the past couple of years, trend-wise, of selling books.
I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it again until I see things change from DC. DC is a penny wise and a dollar foolish. They capitalize as much as they can on Batman and their surrounding characters, which for me, I love Batman. I love the surrounding characters. I'm fine with that. But as a fan of all comic books, pretty much, like, okay, where's a good Green Lantern book? Oh, where are the other books? Oh, Teen Titans is getting cut again. And that's kind of like that middle grade audience that you need. Like, you need a Teen Titans book to get those younger kids into comics, right?
Yeah.
You need a Young Justice to hit that target audience. You need some of these books, and they're like,
you need Superman to be doing well.
Which is one of the hardest things. Like, the Superman issue doesn't really bother me as much because that's almost been a trend with DC, right? It sucks, but like, everybody says there's a hard time writing with DC with Superman. Okay, that's one character, but he does fine in all the other books. Fine. But what about the rest of your library? Like,
no, I agree.
And should be huge.
And the other part is we talked about it a couple weeks ago, right? Like, getting young talent early and taking a chance on young talent. Joker. And
I was trying to do the thumb thing and it wasn't working. I was like, hey, this. I'm like, oh, I gotta go like this.
Over here.
Okay.
But yeah, like, getting young talent, like, they could have had Donny Cates, and now Donny Cates is making Marvel millions of dollars. and stuff like that.
Well,
But like
hindsight's 2020 with that, right? Like
hindsight's always 2020. But like you gotta, it's like sports, right? You gotta jump on recruits fast. And I think at this point in time, with everything they've announced, obviously letting go people is awful, and obviously COVID's hit and it's still hitting, because a certain carrot doesn't want to do anything about it. But if you continue to, these businesses, these multi-billion-dollar industries,
I think DC's problem is less the creative aspect of making the content. I think it's the way they're running their business, and that's the worst thing to hear as a comic book fan.
I think it's both.
I mean,
I think it's both, and I think it's okay that it's both. Well, not okay that it's both, but I think it's more than one thing, right? I think it's they have so much debt. They're kind of like, where do we consolidate? Where do we consolidate? But also, it's you have this debt. How are you going to get mainstay teams on certain books? How are you going to, you know what I mean? Like DC to me needs to go back to kind of like the 80s and early 90s with certain characters where these hotshot young writers, you give them a character that's not doing as well, and you blow it the hell up the way they did with Frank Miller and Daredevil in the 80s.
Look at Tom King with Mr. Miracle, man. Like they
look,
had something fantastic. I haven't read Strange Adventures. I'm hearing nothing but great things.
It's really good. Really, really good.
But like they need to get into that method, and like DC has their niche and has their angle, right? If they for a while realize that we just have to do character books that are really good, that are going to win us Eisners, because Eisners mean money, right? Eisners mean money to them. It's like Oscars, right? If we're going to win Eisners, if we're going to have the best books out there, people are going to buy them more. You know what? Maybe we need to cut back and just focus on that. Let Marvel do with their 1,001 books, and we do a different style, like just like the movies, right? The movies for DC, dark and gritty one-shots or singles, seem to be doing better than trying to make everything interconnected. You have to do what works for you, and I feel like they're trying to do things that they're not ready to do, that's not in the warehouse. They're trying to do too many things at once, right?
Well, they're
trying to be like Marvel and then their own thing at once.
That, and they're also trying to they don't really care. Like, again, the point of me saying, Disney is an entertainment company and that helps is because they can focus on all these different characters. AT&T doesn't give a shit about Green Lantern or Flash or Aquaman or, all these obscure characters, Teen Titans. They care about Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Harley. That's all they care about.
Because they make the money.
Because those are the pillars. So they're not focused on, hey, here's great content, or here, DC, go out and get these creators to make good content for these stories. They're saying, hey, we're going to drop Vertigo because you haven't really made Vertigo books in forever. Like, why not just reinvigorate Vertigo and bring back some of these awesome DC indie stories and obscure stories?
It kind of seems like Black Label is the new Vertigo, but it just
it is, but it's not, because besides Hellblazer, which was the one Vertigo title that kind of crossed over, right? They have, like, everything's been just Joker and Harley. They've done Joker books and Harley books based on the movies coming out, and they haven't done like any like DC Black Label. Like, they're gonna do. I know Tom King's doing a Rorschach book in a couple months for Watchmen, but they're not doing any of those. Why the Last Man stuff and all this other old school stuff. The Sandman universe is Black Label, but that's now a part of the DC universe. So they consolidated that, but it doesn't feel natural.
I literally pulled up the whole DC. I wanted to see, because we say this a lot. Like, DC Black Label is mostly Batman, Harley Quinn. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, Batman Damned, Batman White Knight, Batman Last Year on Earth, Superman, Batman Curse of the White Knight, Harleen, Joker, Killer Smile, Batman White Knight presents Von Freeze, Dark Knight Returns, The Golden Child, Birds of Prey.
That's all it is.
I don't see. I'm looking.
They have like
Jokers.
One question book.
I don't even see that in those. Oh, there it is. There's a question.
They had the Superman Year One.
American Vampire is supposed to be coming out. There you go. That's not...
Okay, so that's an old Vertigo book that Scott Snyder did.
Oh, Scott Snyder's going to do this one too.
Yeah, that's his book.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's his property. He invented it. So, like,
that's
I just every other book is Harley, Joker, Batman for DC Black Label, and it's like, we get it. Like I don't. AT&T doesn't care about comics.
No.
And that's what we have to realize as fans, and they don't care about the movies, they don't care about storylines and plots. They care about making money. And that's the other thing where it's like, hey, you put out this terrible Justice League movie, and everyone's like, release the Snyder Cut. Like, who gives a shit? It's not gonna make a difference.
I still want to see the Snyder Cut, though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it, but it's not gonna be an exponentially better movie. Like, it's not.
I disagree. I think it's gonna be better. That's just
but
me,
it's
personally.
better from like terrible is better to okay. That doesn't mean it's gonna be great.
I don't think I agree with you in the fact that I don't think the success of that movie or the betterment of that movie is necessarily going to change the DC marketplace landscape.
No, because if you make $1 billion on a bad movie, they don't care. You know what I mean? Like, if you make $900 million on a movie that's not good, that's not going to force you to change anything.
No, they're going to be like, well, let's do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's all lined in, but I think there is some light, which to me is a little more half and half. We also found out Jim Lee came out the other day, yesterday, and announced that HBO Max will officially be absorbing all the shows and movies and titles on the DC Universe, and the DC Universe will now be DC's online comic reader only.
Fine.
Which me and Rob have been saying for like almost a year, screaming at things. So you're welcome, people.
It's my idea. I didn't get any payment, so that's unfortunately.
Our idea, dirtbag.
I speak for the channel.
I said it too.
You did. Our channel. Neither of us got money.
No, of course we're not. But like, that's something we thought originally, because how many times have we been like, yeah, so DC Universe has been out there. No one knows where to get it off of a phone. There's no app on a TV. There's no way to get it streaming. Like, it's garbage. And their shows have obviously been struggling. That's why they threw Doom Patrol so fast on HBO Max, and they threw everything else. Like Harley Quinn, the second it was done, was thrown on HBO Max.
Is Harley Quinn still going? Are they making a third season? I just watched like 4 episodes of season 1. It's fantastic.
I believe they are making a third season. They threw it up after season 2 ended. It's really funny.
Dude, I'm really liking it a lot. I was like,
it's good. It's funny.
The voice acting I had to get used to.
It's hard to get used to Kaylee Cuoco from Big Bang Theory.
Because I'm binging Big Bang Theory now, so it's weird. I'm like, oh, here's Kaylee. Oh, she's saying the F word and destroying people's kneecaps. Oh, wow. Okay, I have to get that changed.
I think, side note, Killer Croc, phenomenal in that show.
I haven't gotten Killer Croc yet.
Oh, man. Him and Clayface are so funny.
Clayface is great that's been. I just got to the part where King Shark just joined, and they're about to get evicted. King
Shark is amazing. He's just so, like, nice.
They made Damien such a bitch.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
Like, hey, I was like, what is this? You would kill her like this, boy. What are you doing?
I love Gordon as well, because he's just like, he wants a friend.
What happened to Gordon? He's like a cracked out drug addict or something.
He's emasculated. It's so great. It's just very funny to me. But anyway, the point is, like, so, yeah, DC's making DC Universe their comic app now, which is what they should have done from the beginning, because the fact that they didn't have everything there on HBO made no sense to me. This is something that's good, but also with all the cancellations in books, is this a push for more digital and less print?
I think looking at this announcement by Jim Lee as a push for digital versus print, I think that's reading too much into it. I think this is more of a, we're trying to stabilize here. That's how I see it. I'm like, all right, we're putting everything to HBO Max like it should have been.
Cut the losses.
Yeah, this is going to be comic book only. They have plenty of stuff for free. They're going to have paid books there. Like, that's fine. I think that's what it's going to be. I know Marvel for a long time did, where I don't know if they still do it. It's been a while since I got physical things. I usually buy digital now, just for storage sake. But unless it's like a big issue and I buy the graphic, you guys all know that. Like, they're all look all right behind me. See? Proof.
That's nothing.
It's not.
That is nothing.
It's a good amount of stories there.
Man, that's like a quarter of a box.
No, it's way more than that. Anyway, getting back to it, like, see, maybe you missed my thought. Oh, DC. Okay, so maybe DC's.
What we were talking about? That's right.
Maybe DC's going to start doing it. When you buy the trade books, you get a free digital copy. And you can download it.
They do that a lot, right? Like, they were doing that, like, when the New 52 just started, they had, like, if you paid $1 extra per comic, it gave you, like, I know Justice League specifically, it was like it was the same cover with a different colored background.
I remember.
and you would buy it, and it had a digital copy for free. Well, not for free, for an extra $1. With the comic.
I think
Marvel
I've done that,
does it a lot.
but the
with
app
you
wasn't
buy a
user
comic.
friendly at all.
Yeah, like Marvel has it a lot where you buy it and it has the digital comic, but I don't know. Like, comics isn't really a back and forth like that. Like, if you're someone like me who buys paper books religiously, you're going to your local comic shop and buying your books. You don't care about digital, and vice versa, right? If you're buying digital, you're not really, especially if you don't have a comic book shop near you, you're not seeking out a book unless it's like an old rare book.
Well, I mean, there's been plenty of times, like us doing this show, for example, right? Where, like, let's say, like, back when I was buying physical, I'm like, oh, I wish I could just pull this book out real quick, scroll to that page, pull it up, so when we're talking about it, I have it right here. Oh, if I have the digital, I have it on my computer, I can just do that really quickly.
Yeah.
Now that I don't have the physical books, I can do that, regardless, right? And it's easy for us to get pictures and stuff like that, right? So, like, I do see the appeal of it, but I definitely agree. Like, if you're going out to buy one medium, doesn't necessarily mean that you want the other medium, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that means, like, they're selling the books at a discount rate. I really don't know whether to push to digital versus non. I feel like it's always going to be a battle, and I don't think digital only is ever going to win because people like you and myself want that physical copy there. We still want those things. Like, I still want to grab that trade paperback, smell it, and open it and play it. Single issues is still great to have your stack, slam it on the table, read through it. It's still that nostalgia.
Well, lay it lightly on the table.
No, I slam it down. I'm like, boom!
Destroying your books. Gotta keep them clean.
I don't really do that. You know that.
You better not.
I wipe down the table first. I let it air dry. I wait hovering.
You definitely don't do
for
any
like
of that.
2 minutes, and then I gingerly place this. I put the rubber gloves on when I read them.
It's not Avengers 1.
I wear face masks and none of my spit gets into it and none of my COVID gets into it. And then I read, turning the page using pliers so that way my fingers don't touch it.
You know they do that for like old like Action Comics #1.
I've seen it. That's
crazy.
That's part of the reference I got for that little skit.
That or like Detective 27. Like it's like the museum style where you have to like. There's like a guy there who does it for you, and you could just like kind of look at it. It's
real
crazy.
Quick before we wrap up the show, we got to touch upon one last thing. Speaking of digital, New York Comic Con is officially canceled. It's going to be digital only. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. We knew this was going to happen, especially since the Javits Center has been another hospital for COVID patients for runoffs, right?
An overflow, yeah.
Exactly, an overflow hospital. So we're going to be looking forward to seeing that. It sucks that we're not going to get to go as pros or press or anything like that. I'm going to miss
Did you apply? I didn't even apply.
I did.
You did?
Yeah, I think
I didn't even apply for pro because I was like, I don't want to get approved this year and then have to think about the possibility of going. I'm like, there's no way I'm going this year.
Because of COVID and everything?
Because of COVID. Like, there's no way. I
think I applied whether it was before COVID or when I thought COVID wasn't a big deal.
They sent them in, like, March.
Yeah.
The emails. So,
I thought COVID was going to be, like, a week or two thing.
Yeah, okay.
And no, I know. Honestly, back in March, I'm like, all right, this is like it's like a bad snow day. It's gonna be a week
you really don't watch the news, huh?
Oh, I was trying not to.
It was like they sent it in March, and I was like, I'm not even like I kept the email, but I was like, I'm not even gonna apply, man. This is gonna be a crapshoot. Like, and then they were like, oh, obviously the news in our area in the Northeast of Jersey is like, the Javits Center's overflow hospital. I'm like, oh, so now it's a contaminated massive space. Okay. So like there's no way in hell I'm going, and it's an international show and there's like it's 500,000 people. I'm not like there's no way in hell I was doing it.
It's smart that they did this, right? They did it with San Diego.
Well, it's inevitable too,
Yeah, it's inevitable. We're gonna make sure we stay up to date on the news from New York Comic Con. Hopefully it's a little bit smarter and well prepared than its counterpart in San Diego. And we'll be sure to do a review with all the news there. Chris,
hopefully.
Do you have anything else to say before we say goodbyes?
It's I would say, with DC and Comic-Con, obviously Comic-Con, we kind of all knew this was going to happen. This year isn't over. COVID isn't completely gone, people. It doesn't care if you want to wear a mask or not. It doesn't care if you're tired of being in your house. So help everybody out. Help your neighbor. Just wear a mask. And yeah, hopefully DC gets its proverbial shit together. I'm excited. Are you excited? I'm excited to see the shows on HBO Max.
I'm happy.
And I'm hoping personally they get a little more like of that HBO touch in there, that backing to make the shows better, especially like Titans.
Yeah.
I can see really improving from some HBO help. And hopefully they expand shows. I would love to see Swamp Thing come back and be on HBO. Oh, that'd be a fucking.
Don't tease me. We know
but yeah,
we know Swamp Thing's coming back for season 1 of CW.
mm-hmm.
I just hope that season 2 is like, oh, go to HBO Max, and not
yeah,
CW.
exactly. That'd be great. But yeah, that's basically everything. And guys, old school way of doing stuff. You don't want books to be canceled? Go out and buy them.
Facts.
Companies, Marvel, DC, Image, doesn't matter. They're not going to cancel a book that sells. That's why Batman doesn't get canceled. That's why Superman doesn't get canceled. Wonder Woman. No matter how good or bad the book is, they don't get canceled because people always buy them. So, it sucks that some of your favorites. I know there's people out there who love Hellblazer and Hawkman and Suicide Squad, Young Justice, and Teen Titans. Rob's Teen Titan fan self.
Mm-hmm.
Best way to always do it is go out, buy the book, promote the book, tell other people to get on board. Because again, why would you stop selling something that makes money?
Exactly. And with that, guys, that wraps up this episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you follow us Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jersey Comic Crew, Cruise with a K. Of course, you know that because you are here. As always, I'm Rob Moran.
And I'm Chris Heller.
Make sure you smash that like button, that subscribe, and hit that bell icon. We'll see you next time.
JerseyComicCrew.podbean.com